Yeah, listen, I think the thing that as you get in the league, no matter what position you are, the part of it that you deal with mentally that maybe is a little bit of a struggle, not an advantage, is that you got to fight like the boredom and the monotony of doing it for so long.
Are the Cleveland Browns quietly sabotaging the future of their franchise? That might sound dramatic, but when you take a closer look at what's happening with rookie quarterback Shadur Sanders, it starts to look less like strategy and more like a massive misstep. Here's the situation. You've got veterans praising the kid, analysts calling out the coaching staff, fans screaming from the sidelines, and still, Shadur can't get a single real rep with the first team? Meanwhile, 41-year-old Joe Flacco is locked in as the starter, one injury away from leaving the Browns scrambling. So the real question isn't just why is Shadur being held back? It's what are the Browns afraid of? Because when you zoom out, this doesn't look like a quarterback decision. This looks like a leadership failure, and it could cost the team a whole lot more than a couple games.
A standard for that position, regardless of who's in there. Practice, games, how we operate, what we believe in. We have a very, very high standard.
When head coach Kevin Stefanski named Joe Flacco the Week 1 starter, most fans nodded in agreement. Flacco has the experience, the composure, and the resume. On paper, it made sense. But what happened next didn't. Because when Flacco took the podium, he didn't talk about himself. He praised Shadur Sanders. Not lightly, not politely. He said that the work ethic, film study, and intensity Shedeur shown during mock drills, minicamps, and OTAs actually pushed him, a Super Bowl MVP, to work harder. Let that sink in. A proven veteran, openly admitting that a rookie is turning heads behind the scenes. That doesn't happen unless something big is brewing. And yet, Sanders remains on the bench, barely even sniffing first-team reps. If the starter thinks you're special, why doesn't the coach? The message is confusing. Either Shedur's the future or he's not. But if your most respected veteran is already seeing the ceiling rise, what's the holdup?
And if one guy happens to be a little bit off, then the play doesn't work. And I think it's always it always takes a little bit of time to get all 11 guys operating on full cylinder, especially when you're rotating a bunch of guys in during training camp and you have a bunch of guys taking reps. It's just it just makes it even a little bit harder. But I mean, he pushed the boundaries like he did in absolutely everything. No surprise that he did it in that way as well. But I don't think it's necessarily something that I actively think about until people kind of remind me with texts and things like that, and you guys ask me about it.
Because in the NFL, hesitation is deadly, especially when your team already lives on the edge of collapse, one injury away from disaster. While everyone's focused on Joe Flacco and Shadur Sanders, there's a third name in the mix, Dylan Gabriel. And somehow, he's getting more valuable reps than Shadur, even after one of the most costly mistakes in the preseason so far. In his first preseason start, Gabriel fumbled the ball at a critical moment, a drive killing. Momentum-shifting turnover that left fans and analysts stunned. Rookie jitters? Sure. But what raised eyebrows wasn't just the mistake, it was what came after. Instead of scaling back, the Browns kept feeding Gabriel opportunities. He's still in the mix, still getting looks, and still working with the offense. While Shadur Sanders remains buried with the support staff, far from the first-team spotlight. And the question becomes, why?
The Cleveland Browns are one play away from talking about one of these two kids starting. And the scary thing is, instead of preparing them and getting them ready to play, and getting them ready to be a guy that's going to back up a 41-year-old quarterback.
How does a quarterback struggling to find his rhythm on the field and in the playbook get the green light, while the more composed and consistent option watches from the sidelines? It's not about talent anymore. It's about trust. And so far, Kevin Stefanski is making it clear where his trust lies, even if the results beg to differ. It's not just fans raising questions anymore. Analysts are calling BS on what's happening in Cleveland. Garrett Bush, never one to sugarcoat anything, tore into the coaching staff live on air. He made it clear Keeping Shadur Sanders locked out of meaningful reps isn't just questionable, it's irresponsible. In his words, the Browns are wasting valuable developmental time on a young quarterback they might need a whole lot sooner than they think.
You play games and have them thrown on the side field with support staff. This is the stuff that the Cleveland Browns drop the ball on every single time. They worry about the wrong stuff.
He didn't stop there. Bush slammed Kevin Stefanski for playing it safe when the entire league is moving fast, developing talent early, and preparing rookies to take over when needed. Instead, Stefanski's forcing Sanders to play a background role, backing up a 41-year-old starter and standing on a practice field like he's a redshirt in college. And Garrett's not alone. Ryan Clark chimed in, calling out the absurdity of holding a guy back who hasn't been tested at all under real game pressure. According to him, if you're serious about Sanders as your future, you have to play him now or stop pretending he's part of the plan. The message from the outside is crystal clear. This isn't just odd, it's reckless. When the heat turned up, Kevin Stefanski went cold. In his most recent press conferences, the man steering the ship couldn't give a straight answer if the season depended on it. And let's be honest, it just might.
This team needs to get ready. Try to every single year make decisions based on what the guys need. So that's what we'll do.
Reporters asked simple, direct questions. Why hasn't Shadur Sanders taken a single snap with the first team? What's the plan if Flacco goes down? Is Shadur even being considered for the backup role? Stefanski's response? We do what the players need. We're just trying to get through the next few days. We make decisions year to year. None of it meant anything. Not strategy, not certainty. Just empty air disguised as football talk. And the most telling moment, when Shedur's name came up. Stefanski paused, hesitated, looked uncomfortable, like even mentioning him out loud was risky. That kind of nervous energy doesn't give fans confidence. It doesn't sound like a man preparing the next face of the franchise. It sounds like a coach buying time and hoping no one notices what he's really avoiding. But the NFL doesn't wait, and neither will Shadur Sanders supporters.
But if they don't play, Swag, how do you know? Like even if they're at practice and like Jason said, we're seeing them do well against the ones playing well in 7-on-7, it's still practice.
We talk about practice, but RC,
not the game.
That's the question that I'm asking.
This might look like a quarterback controversy, but it's really not. It's deja vu. And if you've followed the Browns for more than 5 minutes, you've seen this movie before. Promising talent gets drafted, media gets excited, fans get hopeful, but then they vanish behind clipboard duty and sideline drills, only to be tossed into chaos when it's already too late. Same cycle, different name. And that's exactly what makes this Shadur Sanders situation so disturbing. Because this isn't about one rookie being overlooked. It's a pattern of neglect in how this franchise develops its future. Garrett Bush said it plain. This is what the Browns drop the ball on. Every single time. They worry about the wrong stuff. And he's not wrong. While other teams mold young quarterbacks in live situations, get them up to NFL speed, the Browns leave them buried until the pressure's sky high, the season spiraling, and the playbook's on fire.
What do you plan to do at quarterback for the dress rehearsal game, and what is the timeline for naming week one starter?
Yeah, I want to get through the next couple days, but certainly that's something that we're going to do here sooner than later.
And now, with Flacco one hit away from exiting the season, the Browns are betting their entire future on a kid they're not even preparing. It's not just short-term thinking, it's self-sabotage on repeat. While critics tear the Browns apart for sidelining Shadur Sanders, Joe Flacco is standing firm. As the oldest guy in the QB room, he's seen it all. And to him, what Shadur's going through isn't strange, it's normal. When reporters asked if Sanders might be frustrated, Flacco kept it honest. He said, in this league, nothing is handed to you. You wait your turn, you fight through boredom, and you stay prepared, even if you're not getting a single snap. In Flacco's words, you gotta fight the monotony. That's just part of the job. That kind of old-school grit sounds noble until you realize how different the league is now. C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, they were thrown into the fire early, and their teams didn't wait for a perfect moment. They built around them from day one because momentum doesn't wait in the NFL. Flacco's advice sounds like wisdom, but is it actually holding Shedeur back? There comes a point where tough love turns into lost time, and the Browns, they might already be running out of both. At this point, Browns fans have heard every excuse in the book. He's not ready. He's still learning the system. We're taking it slow. But patience? That ran out weeks ago. Across forums, podcasts, and comment sections, fans aren't just asking for Shadur Sanders. They're demanding him. And not just because of his hype or his name, but because they've seen what's happening on the field. They've watched backup quarterbacks fumble critical moments. They've listened to their head coach dance around basic questions. And they've seen zero indication that there's a long-term plan, let alone a good one. Even more frustrating, Shadur hasn't even been given a real shot. Not a drive with the starters. Not a 2-minute drill under pressure. Not even a single possession to see what he could do under the lights. And fans aren't buying the excuses anymore. They're not just cheering for Sanders. They see him as a symbol of change, of hope, of finally getting ahead of the curve instead of always playing catch-up. And right now, the coaching staff looks like they're fine risking it all just to stay comfortable. But the fans aren't comfortable anymore. Let's face the reality. Joe Flacco is 41 years old. He's one awkward sack, one rolled ankle, one blindside hit away from being done for the season, maybe for good. And if that happens, who's ready? Because it sure doesn't look like the Browns have an answer. Dylan Gabriel, after one shaky preseason start, that confidence tank is already near empty. Shadur Sanders, talented but undeveloped, untouched by first-team reps and boxed out of a chance to actually prepare. If something goes wrong, and in the NFL, it does, Stefanski will be forced to make a choice between a backup who's overwhelmed and a potential star who's been flat-out ignored. That's not strategy. That's a disaster waiting to explode on national television. And every day the Browns delay giving Shadur real in-game exposure, they're gambling with their entire season. Not just on injuries, but on hope, on timing, and on the belief that this team actually has a vision for the future. Right now, the clock is ticking, and Cleveland doesn't look ready for what's coming when it hits zero. At the end of the day, this controversy around Shadur Sanders is about way more than just depth charts or quarterback rotations. It's about the direction of an entire franchise. Because if the Browns believe Joe Flacco gives them the best shot right now, that's fine. But what about next month? Next season? 5 years from now? That future starts today, and the choices being made now will decide whether this team is building a foundation or repeating its worst history. From the outside looking in, we're seeing the warning signs light up like a scoreboard. A potential breakout star being sidelined. Fans fed up with more excuses. And a coaching staff giving vague answers that feel more like stalling than strategy. And that's dangerous, because this isn't the kind of mistake you recover from quickly. Sanding down a young QB's momentum, delaying their growth, sidelining the opportunity to lead, that doesn't just cost you games. It costs you seasons, sometimes careers. So the question the Browns have to answer right now is simple. Is Shadur Sanders part of the plan? Or are they about to waste yet another chapter of talent, opportunity, and hope? Because this is no longer just about who starts in week 1. This is about who this team is going to be when it truly matters. And if they mess this up, it won't just be Sanders paying the price. It'll be the entire organization and every single fan that still believes in it. What do you think, Browns fans? Should Shadur Sanders be suiting up with the first team right now? Or is Stefanski making the right call by holding back? Is this the start of something smart or another mistake we'll all look back on too late? Let us know in the comments. We read every single one. And if you're not already subscribed, make sure to hit that button because we're breaking down every twist in the Browns season as it unfolds.